Hi, this is Mark at Ding Dong's Garden. It is mid-October here in the San Juan Islands, and we're out here in our mulberry orchard. And I want to talk about the 3 ways that you can extend your mulberry harvest. This is a frequent question we get, and it is very dependent on your zone and your heat and where you are growing mulberries. But in general, these are the 3 ways that I've learned how to extend mulberries. Number 1 is that you put some of your mulberry trees under plastic, and that will accelerate growth. Number 2 is to get more than one variety of mulberries so that your harvest can be spread across a longer season. And number 3 is probably the most well-known, is that if you prune mulberries, it will stimulate a second set of growth. So I'm going to talk about all 3 of those, but first I'm going to go and talk about pruning and the pruning method. So here you can see this is a Galicija mulberry, and this Galicija mulberry fruits early in our season. So in early June, we had a Galicija that fruited quite well, very, very abundant. And then here you can see a mulberry in October. And why is that? Well, I came out here a couple months ago, and I did some pruning at the top of our mulberry trees in order to limit their height, because we just say no to ladders on our farm. We don't want any ladders. So we try to keep our mulberry trees small. What happens is when I prune at the top, it stimulates the closest 2 buds to grow out, and whenever a bud will grow out into a new shoot or a new branch, it will set several mulberries. And the result of this pruning is a much smaller fruit set than what you would see during the first flush of fruit in the spring. And the reason for that is that when you make a prune on a long branch, it's only going to stimulate the closest 2 buds. If we go down here, you can see these other buds on the same branch that was pruned did not grow. They weren't stimulated to grow. So you can extend your fruiting season by pruning. Let's see if we can see any others in here. Here's some other examples. You can see fruit is coming out of the bud or the branch that grew out closest to the pruning point. But the buds that are just a little bit below that on the same branch did not fruit. I have seen people that will strip the leaves all the way up and down the branch in order to stimulate growth and stimulate a second crop of mulberries from more nodes. But I don't, we're up here way far north, and I'm uncomfortable doing that kind of deep damage to the tree in order to get a second round of fruit in the same year. I would rather let the tree continue to grow and establish itself and be stable and just get that one flush of fruit per year. And that's why we use the 2 other methods to extend our mulberry harvest, so that we can take mulberries to the farmer's market, or we can have mulberries for ourselves to eat. And I'll talk about those 2 right now. The first is putting plastic on. 2 years ago, we put a hoop house up over a portion of our mulberry orchard. And what that did is the heat accelerates the fruiting on mulberries because it tricks them into thinking they're in a warmer zone, growing zone. So the result is that our trees in that hoop house give us fruit about a month before the same trees outside the hoop house do. That's a second way to extend the fruiting season. And the final way to extend the fruiting season is to plant multiple varieties. The example I will give here is Lawson Dawson for us was a very early fruiting mulberry. Another variety that was very early for us was Galicija. And then kind of the main crop for all of the other varieties come in, and you have you have a lot of mulberries during the peak of the season. And then towards the end, there's some latecomers, and some of those include Illinois Everbearing and Morus Nigra trees. In our case, it's Noir de Spain, but you can all Black Beauty, and there's a few other Morus Nigra varieties that will fruit later. So by planting different trees, you can extend your fruiting season. So just to summarize, there's 3 ways to extend the fruiting season with mulberries. The first is by pruning. You can get a second, much smaller, but you can get a second crop of mulberries during their growing season. And this is the only option that works with just one tree. The other 2 options require multiple trees. So, and in those 2 options, the first one is under plastic. You can put some trees under plastic and some trees outside of the plastic or outside of the hoop house, and they will fruit at different times, extending your season. And the last way is to plant different varieties that will fruit across a longer time period. And so for our example, that is the first 2 that we like to have are Galicija and Lawson Dawson. Then comes the main crop, which entails most mulberries will come in that kind of the main season. And then finally, in our experience, Illinois Everbearing and Morus Nigra will fruit later. And not with Illinois Everbearing, not only will it fruit later, but it'll just keep fruiting over time. So it's a great mulberry to have if you want an extended season. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to come out here and talk about how to extend the fruiting season. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Everybody have a beautiful autumn day.